Hello class, welcome back. In this video, we are going to write a program based off this prompt. Doug, Eddie, and Charles are three salespeople at Home Depot. Write an application called Home Sales that prompts the user for a salesperson's initial, D, E, or C. Either uppercase or lowercase initials are valid. While the user does not type Z, continue by prompting for the amount of a sale. Issue an error message for any invalid initials entered. Keep a running total of the amount sold by each salesperson. After user types Z or Z for an initial, display each salesperson's total, a grand total for all the sales, and the name of the salesperson with the highest total. All right, let's go ahead and open up Visual Studio. We're going to create a new project, and we're going to call it Home Sales. All right, let's get rid of our starter code. We're going to be using system, using static system.console. We're going to have a class called Home Sales. We're going to have a main method of static void main and curly braces for its body. Now the first thing I want to type in is our quit function, our Z. So we're going to say, we're going to do a character, and let's see here. Z can be uppercase or lowercase, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Okay. We're going to have a character for the letter of our user. They're going to type in the letter, either, what was it, E for Eddie, C for Charles, and D for Doug. So they're going to type in a letter for our user. And after that, they're going to give us a double. And they're going to type in the amount of the price or amount of the sale. So we're going to have a sale. That's going to be our generic temporary placeholder. So what did Eddie sell for? What did Charles sell for? And then we're going to add that to their total. So we're going to have a Doug total. We're going to have that start off at 0. We're going to have a Eddie total. That's also going to start off at 0. And we're going to have a Charles total, and that's going to start off at 0. And then we're going to have our grand total of all the sales put together. Grand. And that's going to be it. Okay, so what else are we going to do? We have to start prompting our user. So we're going to do a write statement. We're going to ask our user to enter the initial of the salesperson. And yeah. And that's going to be in their letter. So letter is going to equal convert dot to character, whatever's in the read line. All right. And now that we have that, we can go through a loop. So we're going to do while, and while the letter does not equal Z, or let's see, nope, and the letter does not equal lowercase z. So while those two things are not happening, we're going to run through this while loop body. We're going to ask our user to, we're going to do a write line. We're going to ask them, what is the amount of the sale? They're going to type that in. And then once they type that in, that's going to be our sale. So sale is going to equal convert dot to double whatever's in the read line. Okay. And what we're going to do now is based off what that letter is, we're going to add that sale to their total. So depending on the letter, so we're going to do if, and if the letter equals lowercase d, or the letter equals uppercase D. If that's the case, then we're going to add it to D total. It's going to plus equal the sale. We're going to do another if, but it's going to be an else if because we have another choice. So else if letter equals E for Eddie, or letter equals capital E for Eddie. Then we're going to have E total plus equals sale. Get rid of that semicolon. Just out of habit, you know. Okay, next. We're going to have an else if, and we're going to let the last one, it was Charles. So if the letter equals lowercase c, or the letter equals uppercase C. Now I know exactly what some of y'all are thinking. Isn't there a way to make it to where we don't have to do this uppercase and lowercase? Well, yes. Yes, there is. But that's later. Okay, next. We're going to add that to C total. All right, sorry about that. I had a phone call. All right, let's continue. So we're going to increase the total of Charles, or Chuck, whatever his name was. Charles, I think. Charles. We're going to increase Charles's total by whatever that sale was. So now we've increased all three, and we're going to do another else statement to see if it is not one of these letters. So we're going to do a else, else. We're going to do a right line or a right. We're going to let the user know, sorry, that is an invalid initial, something like that. Okay, else if, oh, I put double quotes. That doesn't need double quotes, needs single. Good grief. There we go. So sorry that was an invalid initial. We're going to do a right line. Sorry, change that to a line because I do want it to go down in the next line in the console. And then we're going to continue with our loop by prompting for another salesperson. So we're going to do a write function. We're going to say enter the next initial, or enter the initial of the next salesperson. All right, so once we do that, we need to make that letter change that value to the new character value. So we have to convert dot to character, whatever's in the read line. Oh. There we go. All right, so we're going to get a new new salesperson. And then once we get through with all of that, wait a minute, why is that that way? Why did I put a double quote? There we go. So now we're going to get a new, we're going to get out of our while loop. We've done all of the getting the initials, getting the money, getting the sales, and once we type in the letter Z, it's going to break out of the while loop. So after we get out of the while loop, we need to tell our user who sold what, the grand total, and all that other stuff. So we're going to do a write line statement, and we're going to say something like, well, what's the instructions say? Keep it running total. After the user types Z, display each salesperson's total. So we need to do a total for each person, a grand total for all, and then say congratulations, somebody, you got the highest sales. Okay, so we're going to do some right lines for each salesperson. So we're going to do a right line, and we're going to say something like Doug sold, and then we're going to do a placeholder, and we're going to do go outside of our double quotes. We're going to do D total dot to string, and we're going to format that to be currency, and then semicolon. So that should work for all of them. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to change Doug to Eddie. I'm going to change D total to E total. I'm going to copy and paste that one more time. And I'm going to change this last name to Charles. And that's going to be C total. Okay. And then we're going to do a grand total. So let's go ahead and figure that out right now. So our grand total is going to equal D total plus E total plus C total. And then we're going to do a right line statement for that. Right line, and we're going to say the grand total is grand. And we're going to do one more, and we're going to see who did the most sales, right? Actually, the grand needs to be dot to string. Dot to string format for currency. There we go. So after we post our grand total, we're going to show our winner. So we're going to say if D total is greater than E total and D total is greater than C total, then we're going to do a right line, and we're going to say congratulations to Doug for being top salesperson. And then we're going to do another if-else statement. So we're going to do else if, and we're going to say if the E total is greater than D total and the E total is greater than the C total, we're going to copy this right line, bring it down here, paste it. We're going to change Doug to Eddie. We're going to do our last else statement. We're going to copy, we're going to copy and paste that one more time, and we're going to change that name to Charles. Okay, and that should be it. That should finish all of our salesperson program. Let's run it and see what we get. All right, enter the initials of a salesperson. Right off the bat, I'm going to try to make it bad, so I'm going to do P. What is the amount of sale? 5. Sorry, that initial is invalid. Enter the initial of the next salesperson. So that did not count. That's invalid. So I need to figure out how to do that on our first go through. So what we have to do is we have to, let's see. Well, that'll work anyway, except we need to do an if-else statement. But for right now, that should work if we do it right. Let's do a E for Eddie. Sales amount is 500. We're going to do C for Charles, 700. We're going to do, what was it, D for Doug. That's going to be 900. And then we're going to do Z to quit. Doug sold 900. Eddie sold 500, Charles sold 700. We have our grand total. Congratulations to Doug for being the top dog. All right. There's a few things we could do to change that up to where when we enter a bad initial first, that's going to be like a if-else statement right there. And we'll put that in a loop as well. We could do that, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just kind of leave it there. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.